Tim Herbert is Senior Director of Market Research at CES. So, Tim.
One sec, please.
Morning, everyone. Excuse me. In addition to running the CES, one of the core functions of the consumer electronics industry is to provide research and intelligence on trends in the industry. And I'm going to hold on for just a second until we get our slides up. A little bit of background, we poll hundreds of thousands of consumers each year to try to identify what they're interested in, what features they're using on products, their purchase intent, and so forth. The results that I'm going to share a few highlights today was a collaboration between CEA and the research firm TNS-TV. It was a survey conducted in November to about 3,100 online Americans.
I have a little trouble here.
All right. All right, since you used the hard copy here, I know. So a few of the key takeaways. As we saw in some of the earlier data presentations, yes, there are a lot of similarities across the age groups. Although one of the things that we have identified in this study, as in all of the studies that we conduct, it is becoming increasingly difficult to generalize across large groups of people in how they're using technology and what they own and so forth. And one of the things that we found for certain core technologies, yes, the usage rate, and we focus on both ownership but also usage in the past week. So this is a fairly high threshold for using technology. For products such as cell phone, we found that usage was on par across all age groups, and we broke it down into the 18 to 34-year-old group, the 35 to 49-year-old group, the 50-somethings, the 60-somethings, and the 70-somethings. So we took a little bit different tack than using the larger group of boomers. However, when you go into certain other products, you do find that the usage tends to tail off with age. Products such as a portable MP3 player. For example, we found that the 18 to 34-year-old group, in the past week, roughly 40% used some type of portable MP3 player, such as an iPod, so forth. Compare that to the 60-somethings or the 70-somethings, and the rate was closer to 11%. And we also found some of the same patterns when it came to different internet activities. For example, we saw earlier, and we found this in our data as well, that using a search engine in the past week, nearly uniform across all age groups, using very, very high rates of internet usage. However, when you do get to things such as using a social media site or watching an online video, you do have some tailing off when you get to certain age groups such as the 60-somethings or the 70-somethings. And one other data point here that I don't think was mentioned earlier, we did find that 47% of 60-somethings use the internet in the past month to research a health issue or a medical condition. So certainly they are tapping the internet for information regarding health issues, but also hobbies and so forth. Intent to buy is a great proxy, not so much for whether they're actually going to buy it in the time frame that they say they're going to buy, because that almost never matches up the way it should, but in terms of the product interest. And the number one product over the next year that consumers say they're going to buy, or that they are essentially communicating their interest in, is high-definition TV across all age groups. Number two product across all age groups is a laptop PC. So again, a lot of similarity across all the age groups. And looking at how consumers buy electronics. Generally, most consumers, and this is a self-reported figure, say they're very comfortable buying electronics. And most are using the internet heavily for research. We do find that some of the older age segments, the 60-somethings, the 70-somethings, they are using more in-person type of research mechanisms, meaning that they're relying more heavily on in-store staff as opposed to someone in the 18 to 34-year-old segment. So that's something certainly that retailers and manufacturers need to keep in mind. And then lastly, while there's very high satisfaction with using electronics, and there's very high satisfaction with the shopping process, there are frustrations. And we looked at a number of product categories categories and we asked consumers to say what frustrates you about consumer electronics. And we did find that in certain categories, such as cell phone, the 50-somethings and 60-somethings, roughly a third said that cell phones frustrate them. Desktop computers. This is across the board. There was not a lot of difference between some of the younger segments and the older segments. I think everyone can relate to a computer crash or a frustration with a driver that they don't have in their computer and so forth. So again, there's some differences depending on the product category. And a couple of the reasons why products frustrate. The number one reason, feature creep. And this is a really tough position for manufacturers to be in because often the marginal cost of adding a feature is not that much, or they don't want to be at a disadvantage. But among 50-somethings and 60-somethings, roughly 60% cite too many features as one of the primary reasons why they're frustrated. And in another study that we conducted, we found that consumers on a digital camera, they use roughly 3 in 10 features. And again, this is tough for manufacturers because you don't always know which combinations and you don't want to be at a disadvantage. So with that, certainly the slides will be available. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me after this. Thank you.